the Data History Museum is an idea that we had where we were trying to think of pure blockchain use cases. And we thought about the fact that as our world is becoming increasingly digital, we're actually losing information. We started thinking about historic artifacts that sit in a museum. And we looked at what makes something a historic artifact, and we mapped out 2 properties. One of them is causality, which is the idea that you can use things like carbon dating to prove that particular item existed at a point in time in history. And the other one is originality, which is the idea that the item is the historic artifact, not the copy that you can buy for $10 in the gift store. What would it take to create a digital representation of those 2 properties? And we quickly realized that blockchain is the only way to actually digitally mimic a historic artifact.
I think we've all become a little bit sensitive to the fact that actually is what I'm looking at actually the truth? Is that actually what happened? And I think having that backbone of trust, I think frees us up to look at the world in new and interesting ways.
One of the things that excites us the most is that we're getting everyday people, citizens, interested in science and data and history. So here's the homepage of the Data History Museum, and the thing that I really like is that we've got the most recently minted artifacts. So you can see that in this case, 7 hours ago, there was a 5.6 magnitude earthquake just off of India, and 9 hours ago, there was a C4 class solar flare that went for 9 minutes.
I love the fact that you can, having experienced that earthquake, you can go on, you can find it, you can post about it, you can share that experience with all your friends through social media.
And so here we've got a solar flare that was an M9 solar flare. We can open up the video and we can see here the solar flares like popping out of the sun. It's quite spectacular, and this is the literal video that the NASA satellites took of that solar flare.
I think where we get a lot of a lot of people reaching out are when they have experienced something themselves, and they want to record that because it's personal to them. And I think that's a really interesting use case because we all experience things through our lives, and if you could pass on to generations of elements of your life that were meaningful to you and where you were, again, in a way that is cross-generational, it goes down through the history of time.
If I were to own any moment in history, I'd probably go with the impact of the meteorite in the Mexican Gulf that potentially wiped out dinosaurs. There's hundreds of different blockchains out there, but when you look into something that specifically needs to be extremely scalable, fast, and at the same time cheap, because you have, for example, this year, there's extreme amount of solar flare activity, right? So the system needs to be able to be proactive. And if you're dealing with a blockchain that has a finality of a couple of days or 24 hours, right? Obviously, this is not sustainable long term. So Algorand was really something that it was just fit for purpose specifically for systems like that. I would even go as far to say as it's one of those rare, unique cases where something as real-time wouldn't be even possible without a scalable technology like this.
I think with the advancements of AI, we have to be careful about what we see and what we hear and where that information comes from and how much we can trust that information to make decisions. There's huge opportunity, I think, in terms of using technologies, and I think Algorand is particularly well placed to be the backbone, the infrastructure that maintains and provides that comfort, that source of truth and that trust.